Hello, namaskar. Welcome you to the SAAR analysis. I am Chaman Naik and here's my take. A quick question. How do you measure the nation of 1.4 billion people? Well, here's the startling fact. Every single day, India generates nearly 20% of the world's data. It may be through UPI transactions, online purchase, GST fillings, smartphones, transportation networks, and digital services. Yet the number used to calculate India's economy still rely heavily on the system designed decades ago. So here's the question, can a country aspiring to become the world's third largest economy afford to measure itself with yesterday's tool? Because India is now attempting something no democracy of this scale has ever tried before. It wants artificial intelligence to define the numbers that define the nation. Not in your social feed, not in your shopping recommendation, but GDP, inflation, industrial output, business activity. Well, this very statistics can shape the policy market and the public trust. Here's what evidence speaks about. India's Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, MoSPI, is preparing a sweeping overhaul of country's statistical architecture. Well, officials say artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data will be integrated into official statistical system. Well, a dedicated subcommittee has been constituted to examine the implementation of United Nations System of National Accord 2025. Well, the reforms may go far beyond updating spreadsheet. It is the National Statistical Business Register is under development. Well, a service production index is expected to capture the pulse of India's expanding service sector. Well, administrative data sheets across the states have been integrated. Well, and by 2047, India aims to build a fully integrated high-frequency statistical ecosystem. In other words, India wants to move from measuring the economy periodically to sensing it almost in real time. Well, now the question arises, why does it matter? Because the statistics are not just numbers, they influence interest rate, they guide the welfare spending, they shape the investors' confidence, they affect how global institutions evaluate India's rise. Well, for decades, economists have questioned whether the traditional survey can keep the pace with digital economy where millions of transactions happen every single minute. Well, AI promises faster insights, more comprehensive data, fewer blind spots, and also it introduces to an uncomfortable question. Well, the question is, who governs algorithm? How transparent are these models? Can the efficiency coexist with accountability? Because when the government begins treating data as an economic asset, the data stops being an information, it becomes infrastructure, and eventually it turns into power. Now here's my take. India's AI story is entering a new phase for sure. They're no longer about building chatbots or competing with the technological race. It is about redesigning the operating system of the governance itself. Now, if it executed with transparency and the robust safeguard, this could become one of the most significant administrative reforms since liberalization. But trust cannot be automated because the world's fast major growing economy will not only be judged by how fast it grows, it will be measured by its credibility, it counts, and perhaps the defining question of the decade is, will the data merely record the Bharat's rise or it will become an asset to power it? Well, that's all from today's analysis. I will be back with another episode. Till then, thank you for watching this.